Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to another Clean With Me episode. If you guys have seen any of the other episodes in this series, you'll know that you'll get to see things from my perspective while I detail. And with this Eclipse being one that I did on the main channel back in January, you'll probably remember this car and just how disgusting it was. So taking a look around, and you can see that every single inch of it is covered in dirt from wet and mucky roads. So from the wheels to the wheel wells, and especially on the back end, it is super dirty. Now moving inside the car, and this is where the real disaster is I am immediately hit by the smell of cigarette smoke and can see all kinds of garbage, dirt, grime, and ash pretty much everywhere I look. And now just before we jump into the video, take a quick second and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future videos like this. I post a new video here every Tuesday, so make sure you've got the bell on so you get notified when those go live. All right, well, I've definitely got my work cut out for me on this one, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the transformation. Now, like I mentioned in the opening, this detail was done all the way back in early January in the middle of winter, and since I hadn't switched over to my electric pressure washer at this point, I'm still using my gas-powered Honda GC160. So if you notice in some of the shots that you can see my breath, it's because I have the garage doors cracked so the Honda can exhaust. And with the airflow moving through, it does get a little bit chilly and my heater can't quite keep up to all that frigid air coming in. And I also figured I'd let you know that if you guys stick around to the end of this video, you will get to see the customer's reaction, which isn't something I'm always able to film for you, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Now moving to the back of the car where most of the dirt is, and I have to say that it is always nice to be working on a small car like this. As you guys know, I get a lot of trucks and SUVs in, so it's nice to be able to get through this detail a lot faster today. Now you guys can probably see all the dirt that's accumulating on the garage floor. So in just a little bit, you will get to see how I clean that up. And if you're curious how I clean out the drain pit, I do have a few other videos on the channel that cover that entire process. So make sure you check those out if you're interested. Alright, so with the wheels and paint as clean as I can get them with the pressure washer, I'm using some of my Meguiar's Iron Decon spray because I noticed quite a few tiny rust spots on the car. So what this stuff does is safely dissolve those iron particles that are stuck to the paint, and after spraying some on and letting it sit for a few minutes, it's going to react with any iron and turn purple. So as you can see, there was quite a bit all over this car. Then I'll quickly get it rinsed off because this is by far the worst smelling product that I've ever used. It smells exactly like raw sewage. It's incredibly potent, so it's definitely something I want to get done with as quick as I can. Alright, so with the car covered in some nice thick foam, I'll go around with my boar's hair detail brush to get down into all those crevices to lift any dirt out that my wash mitt will miss. And if you're curious where you can get these detail factory brushes that I use, the link is down in the description, so feel free to check it out. Now whenever I wash a vehicle, I always use the 2-bucket method, which means having one bucket with soapy water and another bucket with just water. And then after every panel that I wash, I'll rinse my mitt out in the rinse bucket, which helps to keep any dirt off my wash mitt and minimizes the risk of scratching the paint. Now moving to these incredibly dirty floor mats, and the easiest way to get them perfectly clean is with the pressure washer. So after spraying on some of my carpet solution and letting that sit for a few minutes, I'll use the drill brush to agitate and get that dirt lifted up, and then just simply use the pressure washer to finish the job. And unfortunately, my garage was immediately overwhelmed with the smell of cigarette smoke, as these mats were holding onto a real good chunk of the smell that was in this vehicle. Alright, so moving on to the interior now, and with the seats and center console out, I can get started on vacuuming up the massive amount of dirt and debris and old cheesies. And one thing that is quickly apparent is that this Mitsubishi has that extremely cheap carpet that I've talked about before. Basically, it's the type of carpet that pretty well won't ever come perfectly clean no matter what you do. The best way that I can describe it is that it's like Velcro, and dirt really just sticks to it. No matter how long you vacuum it or how many times you use a brush, you cannot get all the dirt out. But I will do what I can to make sure I can get it looking almost perfect. Now with everything vacuumed, I'll go over it with the drill brush to get as much of that trapped dirt lifted up to the surface so I can quickly vacuum it up before I pull out the extractor later on. Now turning to the back seats, and you'll notice all the red glitter covering the seats. If you guys are curious where that was from, there was a red glittery gift bag in the back that was ripped, which somehow caused it to shed glittery debris all over the seats. Now turning to the mystery spill in the back here, and now that it's thawed out a bit, I'm just using a couple of microfiber towels to scoop it up and then soak up as much of it as I can, and I'll leave the rest for the Bissell. Alright, so getting started on the carpets here, and after spraying on some carpet solution diluted 20:1 with my pump sprayer, I'm using the drill brush to help get the dirt and stains loosened from the fibers so it can be sucked away with the extractor. And now for any of you who are wondering what my exact process is here, it's really very simple. Because I pre-treat with the carpet solution, I only use hot water in the Bissell. And so as I make the first pass, I'm spraying water at the same time, which is helping to further dilute the solution. Then on the second pass, I'll keep spraying water, and I'm closely watching the color of the water coming through the extractor. Basically, if it's still dirty or I can still see solution, I'll keep making passes spraying water until it's coming through clear. Although if it's not quite clear yet, I'll spray down some more solution, use the drill brush again, and basically just repeat the whole process until the water does come out clear and I know the section is clean. Then to finish it off, I just switch to straight extracting to make sure I can get the carpet as dry as possible. Now as I suck away more of the smell with the Bissell here, I figured I'd let you know that the links to almost every product and tool I use, including the Bissell, the drill brush, the carpet solution I'm using, are down in the description, so feel free to check those out. And if any of you have been looking to pick up an extractor, I would highly recommend the Bissell Spot Clean Professional. I've used mine a lot more than the average person ever would. It's still working perfectly, and not to mention, it really can't be beat for the price. Now moving to the seats, and having them out of the vehicle is going to make this process a lot easier. So the one big tip I have for extracting on seats is to only use as much solution as is necessary to get them clean. The last thing you want to do is saturate the seats and have that foam underneath soaked with solution. So only use as much as necessary. And then when you're making your passes, you need to make sure to press down a bit to compress the foam so you can get them as dry as possible. Here's all the dirty, smoky water the Bissell sucked out of this car. Gross. Alright, so something you may not know is that I always take a few minutes to clean up the floor during a detail because it gets pretty gross. So when there isn't too much mud, I'll typically just use the broom to get things cleaned up like I am here. I think this only took about 5 minutes and just allows me to have a nice clean floor for when the customer picks up the vehicle later. Turning to all the interior trim and using some all-purpose cleaner diluted 10:1, I'm using a slightly damp microfiber towel to wipe everything down and then following up with a dry one to get any remaining APC residue. And then depending on the area of the vehicle, I'll also use my boar's hair detail brush to get down into the switches and around the door handles, as there's always dirt or dust hiding down in those crevices. Alright, now that I've got the entire interior cleaned, I'm applying some 303 aerospace protectant using a microfiber applicator pad. And if you haven't ever had the pleasure of using this stuff, I highly recommend grabbing a bottle. It will leave your interior with a nice matte finish for 4 to 6 weeks and provide great UV protection. And then you can also use it to revive the look of any faded exterior plastics as well. Now just before I get a sealant applied to the paint, I'm using my clay bar to pick up and remove any surface bonded contaminants like tar, tree sap, or road grime. And since I used the iron remover earlier, I'm not really expecting there to be too much left on this paint, but I'll still get it perfectly clean so the sealant can adhere better. Alright, so using some of my Meguiar's Mirror Glaze synthetic sealant, I'll throw a foam finishing pad on the polisher and apply a thin, even layer to the paint. And besides the nice gloss it's going to provide, this stuff is super easy to remove, not like some waxes where you really have to put effort into it. So I definitely recommend giving this stuff a look. Now to clean the glass, I'm spraying some Auto Finesse Crystal directly onto my waffle weave towel. And if any of you out there struggle to get your glass streak free, check out the link in the description to the waffle weave towel that I use, as it's guaranteed to leave your glass streak free and looking perfect.
How's it going?
Good, you?
Good.
Wow, eh? Looks
Yeah.
How many gallons of paint did you use?
Sorry?
How many gallons of paint did you use?
It doesn't look like the same
Oh
car,
my
right?
god, it does. It looks brand new. Wow.
Yeah, I look inside. It's where most
Oh
of
my
the work
god.
Oh, I gotta look at this.
Super nice. It looks,
Shit, look
it's awesome. Wow. Doesn't even look like my car. It's so clean. It looks really, really good.
goes. Yeah, thank
Right?
you.
Wow.
Now, when you let people go in here, tell them to take your shoes off first.
That's
I
right,
know,
eh?
I love it. I do. Thank you so
Perfect.
much.
Now, if you had a
It's
garage, you
awesome.
could just put it in the garage and leave it till spring.
Yeah, I don't even want to drive it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Hey, see you later.
absolutely. See ya.
Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you smash that thumbs up button and do me a favor, let me know down in the comments what you guys enjoyed the most about this video. As always, make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you don't want to miss out on future videos like this. Enjoy the guitar outro, and I'll see you guys in the next one.